I'm Sutterlin of Sutterlin Restorations, and today we're on top of the Tallman House roof in Janesville, Wisconsin. It's November 23rd, a nice cold, chilly, but sunny day. This is the finial. This is the finish work of a couple months, and this is on top of the cupola, and it's one of the most notable architectural sites of Janesville. This is a finish look, as I said, but a lot of work went into repairing it. This had been weathered and decayed. Bugs were able to get into it. This section right here was completely gone. This is all hand carved. This was beyond repair right here. So some of the things we did were to make a mold in place and then cast, take the fitting and reapply it. Before this could be pulled off, we had to stabilize this. This is how deteriorated the structure really was. It may have only lasted another year. It's hard to say with the winds. Then when that was done, we moved on down to the lead shield, which is original to the finial. After several nailings over 160 years, some of this was pretty deteriorated, so we lifted this up and put a new lead flashing, crimped it, and folded it under. This ornamentation here, several of these, there's 8 of them total, were beyond repair. So a cast was made similar to what we did above, only we removed all these and did this in the shop. Then we tried to come up with an idea of fastening these back on that would make it easier for removal in the future and maybe not necessary as to having to remove them as soon. If these were nailed originally to each other like they were, then you have the possibility of the nails rusting and water getting in the screw holes and further causing deterioration. So we inserted a brass ringlet with a brass screw, or rather an eyelet, and this is just fastened to the base by itself with no fasteners to either one of these. The replica cast, the same. We did a brass bracket on each side and screwed it to the base. The originals we doweled on. So each of these are just fastened and not independent to each other. Farther down, we have taken all this ornamentation off. These were all caulked in to secure somewhere along earlier restorations. And what actually it did, it trapped water rather than keep it out. So when we removed all these, we found a lot of decay behind here. So that was repaired, and then we put these back on. Throughout the whole project, we didn't use any caulk. We built all this up with oil primers and then finish coats of paint. This base here will be replaced when we do the roof in the spring, and basically what's under here is a wood form to give the metal its shape. So this will be removed. We'll look at the wood form and determine whether any of that needs to be repaired, and then we'll encapsulate it with the metal. Tallmans came to the Janesville area in 1850, having acquired 4,000 plus acres. It wasn't until 1855 that they started this Italianate structure, loosely based on architect Samuel Sloan's drawings, who published drawings, books, and it's apparent that Tallman used a lot of his ideas because the similarities in the cupola and the finial as well as the entire house. The cost of this structure was $32,000 in gold. In 1870, the front portico was added at a cost of $9,000 in gold, which is today total about $1,500,000, which really is a pretty good deal back then, because we're looking at maybe $1.5 million to simply, and it's not simple, but to restore the structure. For $1.5 million, you couldn't build this new today. Some of the things when we got here that had happened over time is there was deterioration, and especially in this lower area, because of snow being able to collect and then the sun melting it, and just a constant thaw, that it deteriorated a lot of the paint here on the sill. And we used ultraviolet heat to remove the paint. And once we did that, we sanded into good wood. We hand washed everything to get rid of the mold and mildew. These areas over here were extremely deteriorated and weathered. A lot of epoxies were used. Again, we didn't use any caulk. And the finish of, before the actual primers, we did use a lot of oil primers to fill cracks in that, but we used a product called Swedish putty. It's made of titanium dust, rock dust, and these are applied with trowels. It's like a drywall compound mixture, and when you get to curved structures, you can actually use a sponge dipped in linseed oil, and you apply it like a shoe polish. This is to last 50 to 75 years, this product, and it's used extensively in Northern Europe. We put it on this. It was a perfect candidate for it, and then our finished coat. This isn't our idea of what the color should be. We sent away for a paint analysis of these colors, as well as the brown plum that you see on the bottom of the finial, and it's used with an optical microscope, in which they can narrow it down to precisely what this color used to be, and the sheen as well. They used a lot of mineral oils, like linseed oil, in making paint. So this is the sheen, and this is the color that the Tallmans originally decided to have their wood look like.